Oh, okay, I'm going live now.
Oh,
Is everyone ready?
yeah.
We're going live. Alice, can you check that we're in the right group?
Yes. So welcome to the minute where we don't think we're live, but we always are, but we can't actually start until we know we are. Yes, we are. Hello.
Yay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Zoomcast. I am Antonina Mamzenko, and I'm here today with my fellow Made for Documentary co-founders, Emma Collins, Diana Hagues, and Alice Chapman. If you're new to this group, Made for Documentary is a community and an education hub for documentary family photographers. And through these Zoomcasts, we bring you interesting guests that share insights into a variety of different topics, from showcasing the amazing talent within the documentary family community to business experts and other inspiring artists. Well, today we're bringing ourselves to you because we decided it's a great time to chat about getting back to business and how we're all feeling. So this is just going to be an informal chat between the four of us. And if you have any questions, just pop them into the comments under the video and we'll try and address as many as we can. So how are we all feeling, ladies?
I think I've gone in and out of different feelings throughout the sort of last year. It definitely goes along with how I'm obsessed with the government map. And I wait, like 4 o'clock, I'm there refreshing to see what the progress is for today. And I think, and like, going into my area, and that definitely, my sort of general feeling is based on that. But I've been, as a person, I've been super cautious throughout. So I'm quite conservative about going back to work. I did stuff during the summer and had my last session about 3 days before we went into the lockdown in November. And now I've got stuff booked, but I've booked it. I've given myself a bit of leeway where I'm not going to jump straight back into it in the next few weeks.
It's hard to get back into work again when it's been so long without it.
Yeah.
Anyone else feel a little bit like nervous about it, or like you kind of haven't got that rhythm?
But also the actual organisation of my time. I seem to have forgotten how to organise my time after being with the kids at home and grabbing 5 seconds here and there and not really. I suddenly I've got all this time and I'm not quite sure. I'm so behind because it's been like all these different things where it's like been interrupting it. And I've got all this time and I don't actually quite know what to start with.
That's exactly what I was saying to Antonina a moment just before we started, was that, I just feel like it's getting back into that routine of what was I doing before? I don't know. I wouldn't say that I had this sort of particularly planned routine but then there'd be like weeks or in the months when I say, okay, I'm going to be doing, blogging or this and that. And then at the moment, it just seems like troubleshooting, still going back to sort of previous clients that have booked and just dealing with inquiries from that. And it's just kind of, it's subconsciously, I feel like for me, this whole COVID is seeped into the conscious and subconsciousness, and you're always constantly thinking about, should I be doing? But I think that I've certainly done work in the last, just about a month ago, actually. I've done work actually in someone's home, which certainly I felt a little bit unsure about at first, but so I photographed a birth shoot, but I had lots of advice, and there are people who have been photographing in homes, and I think it's that sort of I think we've been saying quite a lot in the group that it's been sort of chatting with our clients and just seeing how comfortable they're feeling and also following the guidelines as well. So I'm kind of slightly excited, but at the same time also not too sort of trying to rush into things. Just seeing how people come and feel about booking and then going along with it. Because it's a confidence thing that when they come to book to you and inquire, that means that people are starting to be more confident.
Yeah.
I remember this happening last time as well. You know, everything came to a halt last time because it was that initial lockdown. Was exactly a year today, isn't it? Bizarrely.
Yeah, it's a weird day to do this actually.
Yeah, I didn't realise that when we decided to do it. It's like an anniversary.
I think today was the announcement day, not the actual lockdown.
Yeah, COVID started long before a year ago, which is part of the problem. We've been in isolation for 2 weeks and we were due to come out today. So we back-to-backed with the proper lockdown. I remember that.
Oh no.
Yeah. We were looking at, we haven't just got to do 6 weeks, or we've got to do 8 weeks. Little did we know it was going to be like three times. And
but it was fun. I remember last time when it everything stopped, and then that almost like the day that things relaxed a bit, I suddenly started getting inquiries. It's like everyone's coming out of hibernation, but it's funny this year because it's actually like spring. It's coinciding with spring, with, you know, everything slightly growing and opening up again. It all feels a bit more positive.
Yeah,
I normally tend to get inquiries for the year when the daffodils are out, and I think it's that feeling everyone's like, right, we're ready to get outside and have photos. Like, should we just touch on the guidance and the rules? So obviously we're all in the UK and every country's in a different place with this, and the countries in Europe going into lockdown again. We're just about to come out of one, but I think we're possibly all feeling the same things, maybe just not at the same time. So hope it's relevant for everybody. So from next Monday, we now have the rule of 6. So 6 people can meet up outside, which means which doesn't include the photographer because you can work. So we can shoot families of up to 6 people outside if you want to. And then the 12th of April is when non-retail is due to open, and that roadmap is based on 4 criteria, such as the rates of infection, hospital volume, etc. But I can't really see that changing at this point. Well, you never know. 8 o'clock the night before, change of plan. So when non-essential retail opens, that includes photo studios. So I think that removes any grey area. It's absolutely fine.
I think the rule of 6 is slightly different this time as well, because it's either the rule of 6 or 2 families together.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually slightly broader. So you can almost, I think you could, as you were saying, photographer is an extra person who's allowed because it's a work.
I mean, my view has always been that we've always been allowed to work because we can't do our jobs from home. It's whether we wanted to and the clients wanted to, and the clients couldn't leave their house for a photo shoot because it wasn't essential. But we could come to their house or their garden to shoot.
It's like Diana doing the birth, and that's something that can't be postponed. If it's coming, it's coming.
So I take it as a case-by-case basis is really how urgent or how important it is, and that can it be postponed. If it can't be, then as long as
baby, don't come yet. Wait until the 12th of April.
There's also the thing we touched on, which is the guidance. There's law and there's guidance, and guidance has the phrase necessary in. We were having a Facebook conversation where I think you, Antonina, said, well, it's necessary to work because I need to earn money to feed myself. Where do you apply that criteria of necessary to the act of working, to the type of work you're doing, to the person you're doing it for? But I think, we're coming to the time where we don't have to have these conversations. It'd be nice to not have to have these conversations anymore, quite frankly. We had to do this or that, where we can just do it as normal if we want to. But then we still have, obviously, masks and distancing. And it definitely doesn't feel like back to normal at all, does it?
No.
I mean, so practically, I mean, I know that you followed this particularly you, Alice, in the first couple of lockdowns straight after when it started to open up, and then talk about maybe the safety. What was it that the guidelines that we were following, the safety aspect?
Oh, the AAP guidelines. So that's I think they're written for business to business, but obviously you can apply them. And it's a really long document. Things like if you're working in a home and there's several people there, like you have a one-way system around the corridors and the rooms and things, so there's a lot you can take on board there. But in a way, it's pretty simple. If you're going to a client house and maybe you're going to stay in the garden the whole time, you just you keep your distance like where you can.
Yeah.
And like there's a lot of just playing it by ear, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like if I'm wearing a mask, even if I'm in the garden, and if I need to come close to them for like 5 seconds to take one picture, it's not like I'm in their face for an hour. I can do that and then go back to sort of photographing wider shots or use slightly longer lens. It might not be my preferred method of shooting, but if I really had to stay away, I could use a 50 or 55. So it's not like telephoto, but it's allows you to kind of step away a bit.
I'm really careful when I was on shoots last year. So I was really careful about trying not to touch things, not so much from me.
Oh yeah, handles.
Handles and things. I kind of like, elbowing.
I would be like that because I usually like if it's say if it's a personal, if it's like a commercial shoot or something or a personal branding shoot, I'd be all over the place like removing things that didn't like it's a very different shoot to family documentary where you can move things out of the way. And this time like can you move that? Can you touch that? Can you open that window for me?
I think it's just being sensible. I mean, I certainly when I photographed in people's homes just after the last couple of lockdowns, I know, it's still, the situation's still quite high, the cases and stuff, but it's just being sensible. And, I had a chat with my clients beforehand, and particularly with where there were young children, I just say that, look, I'm going to be actually completely normal how I am going to be. I'm not going to be completely masked up all the time because I don't want the children to be nervous around me. And then but I still keep that distance, and I'm not going to be sort of, if they run up to me, I'm not going to sort of suddenly do a flying leap out of the way kind of thing, but I gently move and try and not be too close, and I follow all the precautions and everything beforehand, and I haven't really been really anywhere. So at the same time, it's kind of that spacing, that distance in the time between shoots and knowing that and people obviously are very aware of it's not just us, they're also aware of their own safety and everything, so they've been pretty sort of okay with that sort of.
I think that people who are really uncomfortable or cautious or conservative or have reasons to shield, they're just not going to think about having photographs at the moment. So I think if people are contacting you, that they're in a headspace where they're open to having the work done. That they know how it works and know that you're coming into their house, and so they wouldn't be contacting you if they weren't already comfortable with that. I've definitely gone. I'm spacing mine out. That's my main thing, to make sure I've got ample time in between.
Yes, that's exactly what I've done. So I've emailed all my clients saying I'm only going to book a very limited number of sessions this summer, just to allow for the spring and summer, to allow for that spacing out of the shoots, and also if should we need to reschedule, someone becomes sick.
It's actually quite a good marketing tool as well. If you
it is, yeah,
it is. And say that, like, I think you've Alice, you used the word, you need to get on the waiting list, and it's going to be first come first served.
Yeah,
I've said limited numbers. I think that's us as well, because people suddenly think, oh my god, this is really desirable, I need to make a decision now.
But also that people don't offer, it even applies outside of the pandemic. People don't realize that we don't shoot every day. Like, you have to say that.
There's a bit of editing we do as well.
There's a lot of stuff that we do. People think, oh, there's 365 days a year that you'll be able to shoot, but no, it's not like that. And it's even less so right now. So definitely, like, if you're thinking of who's going to book me or how do I market to clients, your first step should be emailing all your clients and saying, I have this, like, literally count the number of weekends or however you work. I only have 12 shoots that I will book over the next 4 months.
Which is why it's actually important in terms of your pricing, isn't it? Then that if you're only doing that limited amount of shoots and you have a particular sort of goal that you need to, or amount of money that you need to make, monthly income, then almost making sure that, you know, you cover that, but within a smaller amount of shoots.
I think this is one of the things we need to think about with what is different now. So I think that there's something that's got to change for many of us, not for everybody, but about pace of work. And I think going back briefly to how we're feeling, personally, I don't feel I want to go back to the pace I was working at before all of this. In a way, although I've been desperate to get back to work rather than doing phonics every day, I've really missed it. At the same time, I don't want to go back to the pace that I was working at before. I think we've all slowed down a bit and perhaps we've all enjoyed a bit of that.
And one of the things is having weekends. Like
we
had sort of almost a whole year of full weekends, but a bit in the summer.
So slowing down your pace of work means booking fewer shoots in, and you have to earn what you need to earn in fewer shoots. Absolutely reflect that in your pricing. But also we need to build in that flexibility, because like we're saying, what if someone gets ill? What if all of your June people are self-isolating and you get COVID, and suddenly you've got to fit all your June people into July or August because they don't want an autumn shoot, they want a summer shoot. So I think building flexibility into our work in the coming years is really important, and agility as well, and being extra flexible with our clients in lots of ways, like enabling them to reschedule. One of the phrases I use with mine is, we can reschedule if, you know, ill, test positive, symptoms, self-isolating, but also if you just feel it doesn't feel right. Like if the numbers are going up and it feels a bit like, oh, I'm not sure anymore. Fine.
It's a bit like how we were all feeling kind of leading up to schools going back in January, and you're thinking, I really want them to go back, but they're supposed to be going back. So what are we going to do? Do I send them? Do I not send them? And it's that same thing. If you've got that, if your client's got that uneasiness, it's that two-way conversation that you've both got to be comfortable with it.
Because we're not the high volume kind of studios where you kind of have to, not even sure how high volume studios are going to work. There's going to be lots of cleaning and things, I guess. But like for us as documentary family photographers, because we invest a lot of time not only on a photo shoot, it can sort of translates into being very personable with our clients and having those conversations and kind of almost becoming part of a family in a way. Like especially like if they come year after year, you know them, they know you, you can have that conversation. And some people are much more comfortable now than the others.
I've been having for people that I've got coming this year, if they don't already know me from previous shoots, I've been having Zoom calls with them as well, so that they get to know me more than on a phone call, so that when you go there, there's an instant sort of feeling of, I don't know, you're a little bit further ahead of them being comfortable with you, because obviously at the moment I've not got anything booked for another few weeks. I'm just making sure I've got those all booked in beforehand.
And also with Zoom calls, actually, Emma, that I've realized that it's a good idea to have a Zoom or a FaceTime with the clients, especially if you're going to be in the mask in the house. So they get to see your face before that. Because it's really weird when you turn up at the door and you're like this and they don't see your face.
I think that's one of the benefits of this whole pandemic, in that people are so used to Zooms now that they're not, you know, it doesn't seem strange to hop onto Zoom rather than a phone call.
Definitely.
Previously we're making a phone call, and so it's quite nice because then you get to see a little, I mean, obviously you're only seeing that person in front of the wall, but a little peek at their sort of maybe what their house might be like, and or if they're doing it in the kitchen, and their, you know, the decor on what they're wearing and everything. You get a sense of that person before you go in.
And you can see if they've got lots of bookshelves or lots of wall art.
I quite like it as well when, like, I had a Zoom call today with a client and she was basically in her pajamas chatting to me.
Brilliant.
But then you can say something about that which reinforces the genre.
Exactly.
Because the point of the phone or the Zoom consultation is to sort of get familiar and build that rapport with that relationship. It's also to plant seeds and to really embed the approach with clients. And it just means you start off with a much better chance of getting great pictures and a great experience for them. So thinking about what else is different. So typically in documentary, we offer different lengths of shoots. I mean, we offer like maybe short, medium, long, full day in the life. I think we're all changing what we offer for this year. I'm not offering day in the life till this is all over.
Yeah, I
You're
can't
not,
imagine
Antonina?
myself being in a mask all day, and like it's very intense, and you can't not touch things, and you can't like it. Yeah, so I'm not doing day in the life this year.
Yeah, and I've certainly had like, you know, clients are all saying, "Oh, can it, I'd like some inside, but we'll do a lot of it outside," which is again makes sense, I think, because outside everyone's. Well, yeah, I mean, there's this. In fact, you shared a document the other day, Alice, on the group, which a couple of doctor friends have shared.
Oh, that's my favourite geeky
really good
document.
topic. Yeah, I was going to reply to you because I've got a few doctor friends and they all swear by that, and I was thinking, oh, if the medics have it, then that's a really good thing to understand, and it really shows visually, graphic. Well, we're all visual people, like this. I like that visual representation of showing you what a difference things like ventilation, length of time, and masks have on how safe the time you're spending with somebody is.
You can show that a client as well.
Yeah,
that's
length of time is obviously one of the big factors, which is why having more shorter sessions than you would perhaps normally is a good idea, as is the ventilation and the being outside for larger portions.
It kind of goes back to someone mentioned in the comments before about being nervous about shooting, which I totally get. But then if you can mitigate that by shooting outside mainly, maybe this year the only shoots you do are outside.
And Francesca's saying, so she was she's only been doing short story sessions this past year, 60 to 90 minutes, but she's dying to get back to longer sessions. I'm only doing outside only for a while. It's hard to know when that's going to change, but I've estimated the summer. So I've been really cautious about booking 4 5-hour sessions, because are you going to stay outside the whole time? And I had one that was pre-booked, and I really want to shoot inside this house as well. And I think there's always those cases where you might go, oh, this one will be okay, because it's technically okay. It's just your own feeling, isn't it? Like, I'm going to do that one inside, but I'm not doing other ones inside for a while. You can't tell anyone.
Found the outside ones to be more lifestyle-y, the people.
Well, this is a challenge, isn't it?
That was one of the questions that people asked. Yes.
I think again that's about talking and prepping them in advance, that you're not going to be posing them in a field or, like, you know, asking them to walk into some nice patch of light or between some trees. It's just going to be that you're going out for a walk and then or to the playground or even, you know, and maybe start in people's gardens rather than in their house and then go out there. You can still have some sort of routine shots of people you could be outside as they're getting ready on a doorstep with wellies and whatever it is, you know, and just design it more around outside activity.
Yeah, I would say, like, not be tempted to, you know, how in lifestyle photography we are the ones that pick the beautiful location for the client. For documentary outside, to mitigate that, I would say talk to the client. What are the special places for their family? What do they like? So if it's a playground, then it's a playground. If they have like a National Trust pass and that's where they go as a family all the time, then go with them. So those kind of things.
Get permission and pay.
Get permission and pay the fee. Obviously, you can't but just talking to them, and maybe they go. Maybe during the lockdown, lots of people have started, you know, discovered new outdoor places that they love now, and maybe they have a new route where they take their dog out. Or
local
a lot of them have got dogs as well that they didn't have before.
So the location is really important. I think with any booking, if they say, oh, I want to have a session on this beautiful bridge under these willow trees, you're like, okay, because one photo is going to look quite nice, or because you always go there and it's where, I don't know, where you got engaged. Is it important? Is it special? But yeah, there is that risk that we feel, are we going to get the type of shots we want in our genre if we are at a park the whole time? So I guess for me, if it can be in a playground, that's great. I love shooting in playground. Absolutely love it. And the garden's brilliant.
I think also encouraging, like I had a conversation with a client recently about, you know, going to shoot in the playground, and I told them, please don't wear, like, this is not your Sunday best kind of shoot. You're going to go in the sandpit, you're going to get dirty. So just wear what you normally would wear. Don't wear the best clothes. Wear the clothes you will wear when you're taking your kid out to the playground. And they totally got that. They was like,
I think that's within your prep talk, it's like, you know, differentiating what an outside shoot will look like in terms of like how you'd shoot it, where you'd shoot it, you know, and what clothes you wear. Those are big differentiating factors from documentary to lifestyle. And so, like you said, for getting the clients to talk about what's important for them, and for them, you know, and talking to them about clothes, not wearing your best clothes, but feeling comfortable and looking appropriate, was really important.
We should be doing this each time anyway, but I think when we get a booking at home, perhaps we're a bit used to it working out, or thinking, oh, they get it because they want it at home. But in a way, it's a test. How good are we at doing the consultation the right way that embeds the approach and gets the best out of the client, and enables us to get those good pictures? So this should be fine. Maybe we just have to.
What are you guys doing about masks? Are you wearing them, going to wear them 100% of the time inside only, or just whether if the family asks you to wear one? Because again, there's lots of different interpretations on when to wear masks.
So I don't know if we officially, and one thing I said wrong at the beginning was the UK. Obviously, we've got different rules in England, Scotland, Wales, and, you know, and I don't know where we're at with this, but last year we changed from the 2 metre rule to the 1 metre plus rule, which is that as soon as you get towards within 1 metre, you have to have a face covering on. So last year I was wearing one of those handy band things around my neck that I pull up, so I could hold my camera with one hand and pull it up and down. So I was 2 metres without it outdoors, and then pulling it up to go in, and then taking it down again. Now it feels culturally a bit more like we should wear a mask the whole time, which is another reason not to want to do a really long one. So I think
and I think the fact that in the press it's talking about, oh, we could be using face coverings, you know, people accepting as a basic norm, and we could be having them for another few years. It does feel more normal.
Definitely. After the first lockdown, when we got back to shooting, I was very much like talking to the client, and if they wanted me to wear a mask indoors, I would. If they didn't mind, that I wouldn't. I think now, like, I don't even indoors, I'm gonna be wearing a mask 100% of the time. Outdoors, right now I'm thinking probably not, but that said, I really like your idea, Alice, about having this bandana ski thing where you can pull it up if you really have to. I think I've done it a couple of times, and it's actually quite comfortable to do that.
Also kids, because one of my worries about wearing a mask, I mean, obviously you do it because you need to do it and it's important, but I was worried for the work that kids would think you were this scary bank robber type person. But now I think kids are completely used to it. And I just had a conversation with, because I do documentary nursery photography as well, and I just had a conversation with my first booking, which is in April, and we talked about the map, what to do, and we agreed that I would meet them all outside, wave and smile at them and say hello without a mask on from across the outside space, which is really massive, and then put it on for the whole time.
Do the teachers wear the key workers?
They do outside, but they don't inside, which seems the wrong way around. But they outside, they're meeting parents and handing over to adults, whereas inside, they're not.
That's actually a really good, because I had a shoot in November, just after the second lockdown, whatever, and that was mostly inside, and I did feel like, even though the parents reassured me that their kid goes to nursery and he's used to seeing people in masks, I did feel that me arriving at the door with a face covering straight away kind of threw him a little bit, and he wasn't as relaxed. He was like 3, wasn't as relaxed as he could have been. He kept looking at me funny, and when I took it off when we went outside, it felt more relaxed. So I think just meeting them maybe at the door, waving, or even having that Zoom, when you have the Zoom call, if it's during the day, and the kid is there, to show your face.
What about when your viewfinder fogs up from wearing a mask?
It would clear. It would clear. It clears quite quickly.
Glasses for me. Do you wear your glasses on a shoot, Alice?
No, because I only need them for screens. It's why I can't go mirrorless yet. I don't want to be able to see anything.
Well, I now more often than not, because I'm on the mirrorless, I don't use the viewfinder. So sorry, it's not a good answer, is it?
Just talking technically again, so we talked about focal length, and while we're talking about distance, I know most of us shoot primes, and most of us don't like to change lenses a lot. So I guess two things: are we changing our focal length COVID and sticking with a new one, and are we changing the type of shots we get? That's hard.
That's hard. Last year I didn't, but like Antonina said, I shoot mirrorless now, and it's so much. I mean, I've always, for a long time, I've shot often taken my hand away from my eye away from the viewfinder and done some free shooting, but it's so easy to do that with mirrorless. So you've actually got an extra sort of meter where you can move in because you've got your arm's length, which is, I think that's going to be quite useful this year.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. And is that because the mirrorless can also get the focus on people's faces without you having to literally, when you're doing distance and you're kind of like moving all the focus.
So it's actually almost better for mirrorless. It's almost easier on the LCD screen than through the viewfinder. It's even more flexible. Because
you can just tap with your thumb where you want, and then.
So it obviously has like the sort of autofocus like anything. But I mean, it is obviously, everyone knows it's super accurate and it's got the eye tracker and stuff. But when you're looking for a viewfinder, if you want to move to a specific point, you're still using like a gear stick, like
a joystick.
Joystick, like the Canon was for me. But on the LCD screen, you can literally tap where you want it to go. It's a bit like the Canon Mark IV actually on live view. It's just much faster, much more responsive.
I never thought of using live view. I've got a Canon Mark IV.
You could try that.
It's reasonable actually. It's reasonably fast. Because that's how I used to shoot a lot. Particularly, I adapted my shooting quite a lot when I started to wear glasses more, because taking glasses on and off was a nightmare. And so actually, if I've just got glasses on, I can sort of have them like this, like a headmistress.
That's a look.
You're looking there and looking in the distance.
With your mask on as well.
Yeah.
And just
I went through a stage where I've literally tried everything. I ended up in hospital with them trying to get contact lenses out because it was pissing me off so much, trying to work out like my eyes are deteriorating. And I tried them. It was literally the first day that I'd put them in the first day in the shop, and they're like, "Oh, well done." And they came out really easily. The next day, so it was my second try on my own. I didn't know if they'd gone in. So I had to go into town to get the guy at Specsavers to tell me if it was in my eye. Then I forgot to take it out at the time that I was supposed to take it out, and I was like 3 hours late. And I panicked so much, and all my family are so queasy. They're like, "I'm not helping you. I'm not helping you." So I couldn't get it out. I literally couldn't get it out. So I had to go to hospital, and I was in this queue in the waiting room for like 4 hours. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. Even the nurse couldn't find this thing. It was on my eye, exactly what it should be, but it was so thin they couldn't find it. They're prodding me with this wooden stick to try and find it. It was disgusting. Anyway, I gave up on contact lenses at that point on day one, and then I tried having a librarian style with it around my neck, but then that kept popping off and my glasses would be flying off everywhere. So anyway, I'm back to the headmistress look now.
Suits you. And with going back to focal length, last year I shot an entire nursery shoot with an 85, and I thought I'm going to try the H5 for the first few shots, see how it feels. And I didn't expect it, but I just kept using it the whole time. And then I used it for the next one and the next one. And I wouldn't do that on a family shoot because it's just not the documentary look. But I was surprised at how well it worked. I felt the distancing worked brilliantly. I didn't have to go very close. I was also quite good at getting one kid at a time. So if you are
with a nursery shoot as well, I would feel a little bit more vulnerable in a way, because there's so many families that are involved.
They run at you as well.
And the kids are all from different bubbles,
Yes.
different family bubbles, where at least when you're with a family, it's just you and them.
Yeah, they're all quite low down though. They all do run. but I was actually really pleased with that. I'm not tempted to use an 85 the whole time on a family shoot, because it just isn't the look for documentary. I thought about trying a 50, but again, I didn't really want to do that. So I'm going to stick with a 35. But I like to get quite close up single portraits, and I also like to get detail shots. They're kind of the two things my clients, if they're repeat clients, expect from me. And I think we had a question about, how do you do your best work? How do you feel about whether or not you're able to do it? And can you give clients what they expect? And I do think sometimes that's something that we worry about more than them. Like if I do a family shoot and I don't deliver a detail shot, I don't think that my client is going to go, oh, where are those detail shots? They're going to go, oh, great. You know, they're not going to think about it the way we do.
It's a bit like clients are looking at how lovely their family looks in the pictures, and they're not thinking about all of those technicalities. And it's a bit like a lot of people probably don't understand that there's different genres within family. It's just, I want my family photos taken on, I like your photos. And not thinking, oh, I'm choosing that person because they do documentary photojournalism, and I'm going to choose that over this one that does lifestyle and this one that does studio. And obviously the studio there's more of a differential, it's a bit more obvious, but I think they're just delighted by getting lovely photos of their families, and they're not necessarily thinking about the story arc and things like that we would be.
And this is the thing
about sorry, Alice.
No, go on, Diana.
I was just that going back to the technical stuff, actually, we're talking about not changing lens, and I'm not someone who likes to change lens whilst I'm shooting. So I tend to have I have second camera anyway, which is exactly the same, full frame, and I would have my longer lens, most likely 50 actually, for family, and then I'll have 28 or 35 on the other one, which I normally shoot with. And then if I feel like, oh, that would be quite a good detail, but I don't want to get into it, I just quickly grab it out, and then I hardly would shoot with that long lens, but then I just just take the shot and then put it back into my bag, which is only very nearby. If I'm outside, I either have two cameras hanging around my neck. It's unlikely, but I do have a double harness that I could just immediately. But I would have either two cameras hanging around my neck, because it's not very long and stuff.
Yeah, I used to do that. I have with the Canon. I had that set up, but because I've moved to Sony, I haven't invested in a second one yet because it's just too much. So at the moment I'm back to having a satchel or bum bag or something with the different lens in. But I think because I normally shoot on 24, I feel like going to a 50 is like change, but maybe 35.
And the other thing is, my first post-lockdown shoot last summer, I got one of my favourite photos of last year, which was really far away, a big landscape shot with kids running off into the distance. And I'd never have shot that normally, but because I was trying to keep my distance and it's quite an extreme version of that, they're like tiny in the picture, it kind of helped me see a different way. So actually, I think it broadened my range of the visual variety within the gallery.
It's almost going from the opposite of a detailed shot.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was just going to say exactly that it's a good opportunity to practice more complex compositions where you included more in the frame.
Stop down, step back, observe a bit more.
Patient.
We talk a lot in this room about how you have to build your skill sets, because you never know what's going to happen. And I think it's just another opportunity to do that. You know, if you feel you need to step back, then let's all try and get a bit better at step back photos. Or maybe you're even like, if you are inside, go upstairs and shoot down. You know, there's lots of situations where you can be physically far away. And one of the hardest things to get is a great layered complex composition with everybody in. But how do you do that? You have to get out of their face to do that. So actually, you know, maybe we'll all be great at that in a few months' time.
It's like one of those things. So with documentary, right, we constantly putting restrictions on ourselves, and we learn to work around them to produce great shots. And sometimes restrictions can lead to brilliant pictures that you wouldn't otherwise have taken. Like, I'm not going to pose anyone. What can I create with that? I'm not going to use different focal lenses. I'm going to stick with just one. What can I do with that? And now I'm not going to get too close to people. I'm not going to just capture their faces like that. What can I do with that? So maybe treating it as a growth opportunity rather than a restriction.
Challenge.
I think, yeah, I think in terms of getting close, I don't actually feel too nervous about sort of stepping in quickly, because I don't stay within the shot for too long. I just kind of like get in, take a shot, and then I'm out again.
Yeah.
I kind of call myself a slinky, kind of like I'm pew like that, I'm not. The idea is that it's not intrusive, so you're just in the moment and then you're out again. So I think I don't think it actually changed too much how I shoot. But obviously just following within the rules, that just trying to be more conscious, that's all.
I think maybe sometimes I think lifestyle photographers have this easier because they can get the 70-200 out and stand 6 meters away. That's probably not the exact right, no, I don't know, and get these shots, and you kind of know what's going to happen. But we're made for this stuff. We're in our element when we've got difficulties to get over and when things aren't easy, and that's, I think we all enjoy the challenge of working in a challenging way. We kind of up for that, aren't we? So
that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, one of the things I absolutely love about, and I always say this, is that I got really bored shooting lifestyle because I felt like I was just doing the same thing over and over again and looking at the same images over and over again. And what I love is that I literally have no idea what the light's going to be like, what the day's going to be like, what the kids going to be like, what they're going to be wearing, what the house is going to be like, what's going to be dark, light, whatever it is. And this is just another challenge to relish, isn't it? It's just it's something else. And we're so adaptable because of the way we have to shoot normally. I think we should easily be able to adapt and incorporate a different way.
Yeah.
Just going back to how we're feeling, I think if we can turn this into a positive and just take a lot of confidence in the fact that we do produce great work in really difficult situations on a good day. And if this isn't a good day, we can still do that. And we can actually get better by the end of this process because we're going to, like I said, broaden our skill set. Should we talk about the workflow and the business side and dealing with the clients and how that's different?
I thought it was a good idea to talk about business challenges and how we're adapting. I think we had some questions around marketing right now and finding clients and also pricing and selling during this time. So should we talk about marketing maybe first?
Yes.
So in terms of like marketing right now, we kind of touched upon it a little bit earlier where, we're sending emails to our existing clients. If you don't have a mailing list, you can just individually email people, letting them know the limited availability. And then the general rules apply really, I think, just sort of sharing your work, making sure your portfolio is reflective of what you want to shoot and showing up consistently. There's not going to be one Instagram post that's going to suddenly book your calendar. There's not going to be one blog post that you put out there and suddenly you're booked up. It's showing up consistently, sharing your work, talking about why documentary is so important and what you can do for your clients.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's in a way it's a marketing opportunity because things always become more desirable the less there are. So use that in your mailings or communications on social media where people find you. Use that to your advantage and don't be afraid. I think there's definitely people, I think because we've as a working group, photographers have actually been quite badly hit by the pandemic in terms of how much they can work. And so there's this instant feeling that, oh, no one's got any money. But actually a lot of people haven't been doing as much as they would be. They might, they haven't been buying as much as they would be. They haven't been going on holidays as much as they would be, and they've actually got, no children's clubs have happened. So they've actually a lot of people have saved money, and so they are, if they're ready and they want to, they'll be coming to you to spend that money. So don't reduce your prices because of the pandemic. We've been badly hit, but a lot of who would be our customers are in a different boat.
I think also that people have been reflective because they've been home for that long. They've been reflecting more on what they want or what they appreciate, and what you remember of this time. And so it's perfectly, you know, to sell it more that, you know, this time that you spent at home, what things to appreciate from that you want memories of.
Yeah, that's a really good point as well, actually. That I feel like it's a really good opportunity in terms of the genre as a whole, where people have had to sort of slow down, step back and reassess their lives and spent a lot more time with their family and enjoying their kids, and maybe not always. But that really plays into what we do and what we say about the genre, you know, all the things that we say that are beautiful about our genre, that all plays into that.
Yeah.
I think
sorry.
I think about what's important a bit more, aren't we? Like, you know, we're valuing the simple things, and extended family sessions. So I think family shoots are going to be big this year. I think as soon as people can get outside and see each other again, they're going to want to book. Extended family shoots, I think, are going to be huge. Delayed, but I get quite a lot of inquiries since 70th birthdays for grandparents. Delayed birthdays, vouchers for people who want to do it next year. If you do vouchers, and be careful if you do, because that's the whole kind of worms with that. But I think the market is going to be good this year. Like we said, people have got money, and when you think about your pricing, don't be afraid to take into account the fact that you might have taken a big hit in the last year and make up for that.
And I also think, like, also in terms of the type of shoots that Alice, you mentioned, I've had a bunch of inquiries from existing clients and from new clients about they're moving away from London.
Yes.
So if you're in a big city, it's likely that there will be people who, after the pandemic, they want to get out now, and there will be shoots to document the sort of before they move in their house, in their neighborhood. So that's like a new type of shoot.
I'm pretty sure that Diana, you've had this as well. I've got a moving day shoot as well. Someone wants to.
That's really cool.
So jealous. I was supposed to have one. We couldn't do it.
Oh.
I really want to do a move. If anyone's watching who wants to book me for a moving day shoot, please.
Really good one as well, because they're not moving far. I can like almost walk between the houses.
Just stop talking about it, Emma.
But there's those ones that, like I said, you'll say, okay, I'm not going to work inside, I'm not going to do this until this date, but something will come along and you're like, oh, I really want to do that. And this is why we work for ourselves. We can make our own decisions.
But also going back to what Antonina was saying about doing some outdoor shoots, there's also that side of it as well, is that once people get outside and do more, or just where have you been, you know, spending the most time, that simple life, you know, enjoying the most simple life, or even when they've been sort of like really want to go somewhere and it's still outdoors, like maybe a zoo or something like that. That could be a nice day out and documenting, you know, a memory.
What you're saying as well, it's like, you know, people are desperate to do something different, so they're quite excited about anything. Dad's going to be excited about the photo shoot. It's a different person to talk to.
Yes. I think as well, if you're not getting a lot of family bookings, or you don't want to yet, you don't feel ready, you don't want to work inside, you maybe don't want to work outside because that's just not your thing. Headshots, you know, you don't have to show everyone what you're doing if you need to make up for a deficit last year. Headshots, I think, are big at the moment because people are going to get back to the hairdressers soon. You can do those from a distance. There's all sorts of ways you can get back out there gently if you're not wanting to go back to the old way. Should we talk about
a lot of people have I don't know whether this is just unique to me, but I seem to know loads of people. I don't know whether people have reassessed their working life or had to leave their job or been furloughed and so set something else up. But there's people who've got little fledgling businesses that they've set up in the last year, and they're wanting headshots for that.
Or personal branding, or like sort of artist at work type shots. What are you going to say, Alice?
Becca's asking about adapting the cancellations policy. If someone gets COVID, what do you do? And I remember having a conversation about a year ago, probably exactly, about whether you bother to change your contracts, and I haven't changed my contract itself because I kind of can't be bothered to change it every 5
I feel like everyone knows that it's happening now, and it's kind of weird, unique circumstance that we just have to work around. So, I mean, I mention it to people. I usually mention it when I'm writing an email or something, you know.
So that's putting it in writing.
Yeah.
So if you put it in writing, accompanying the contract, then that can form a legal amendment to the contract.
Yeah.
If I have a phrase like, here's the contract attached as a COVID related amendment, and if this happens, we can reschedule. And I think I just want to give my clients that confidence to know that not only like legally and contractually they can reschedule if they want to, but also that I'm a nice person, I'm not going to get funny about it. It's completely fine. And also to kind of plant that seed with them that I might want to, that I might get in touch and say, actually, the rates are going up. I've just decided, even though we've not locked down yet, I don't want to do it. I'll quite phrase it like that, but
I think because we're not weddings, I think it's different with weddings or any sort of birthdays or anything. I mean, I have a booking was supposed to be in April last year, then it was supposed to be in April this year, and now it's going to be in April next year. It's a big birthday party. But like, again, I've moved it without like charge because I don't do events that much, so it's not going to conflict with anything else. But I guess Diana probably has more insight on like when it's a wedding. What do you do? And there's different rules apply because there are certain dates and you can't work around them.
With the contract, it's almost it's giving you cover for the worst case scenario, but actually you can adapt that. You know, it's saying that this will happen if you cancel, but like you said, Alice, I usually want people to think I'm a nice person, and usually to
know you're a nice person.
Yeah. If people, exactly, because I am. but you know, there's usually like 99% of the time a really good reason if someone needs to cancel or not cancel. But most people want to postpone anyway. If they I had one a couple of years ago where they were having a shoot. They were doing an afternoon shoot, like a half day, but in the afternoon. And in the morning they'd been out, and the daughter had got caught on barbed wire and slashed her leg. So obviously they didn't want to have the shoot and obviously it's just changed onto a different day.
I always say that contract. Just so the contract is like for when people are really being difficult. And I don't want to cooperate. For all the other situations, I'm going to be flexible.
It's to cover you, to keep you safe in that sort of situation. But most of the time, you go by what feels right. It's a bit like the whole COVID thing, isn't it?
I think
it feels right for you.
Yeah, I think there's nothing that can cover, you know, for all eventualities anyway within your cancellation. So mine hasn't changed. My cancellation policies has changed, and it mentions things about rescheduling, and even before, you know, COVID, or, you know, however long this is going to be, or it might be part of our normal now. But it's always the case that, you know, let me know within, you know, 48, I think I've said 72 days ideally. But if the kids don't need to be sick that morning, you know, in terms of this was before COVID situation, then sure, you know, can't do anything about it. It's got to postpone to they end up postponing the shoot, and I'm actually more for I have a free weekend or a free day now, you know, to stay with my family. I'm not too
I'm actually saying now, like, do let me know if you have any suspicion that you might have COVID or you've been in touch with someone, even if it means you're calling me on the morning of our photo shoot. Like, I'd rather you let me know than
definitely. I'd rather know.
We haven't talked about vaccines, but obviously I mean, God knows what's happening with the vaccine schedule in this country at the moment. It goes from like May, September, May, whatever, April, August. But those of us who are blessed to be over 40, it was going to be within the next month. And just for me personally, I'm feeling much more confident about getting out there and shooting because of that. I think people in their 30s, Diana, I don't know if you feel a bit differently about that. Like,
I mean, even if you have just one vaccine, I feel like I would feel totally reassured if it was 2 vaccines. So I think even one vaccine, I still feel like I want to wait, you know, But
depends where you are.
With me, I don't know.
Depends where you are, how far the sort of schedule is advanced. I think where I live, it's apparently a bit behind.
Yeah, some people have had theirs even. but
yeah, I've known some younger people who've gotten theirs, and it's like,
there might be a point where we start saying to our clients, oh, I'm vaccinated, or I don't know how we'd quite do that, but you want a flashing sign in our website, vaccinated photographer. And also those of us with kids at school, we can do lateral flow tests twice a week. So perhaps we could time that for the day of a shoot. So we can actually say, they're not known to have been very reliable, are they? But we've got these things now that we didn't have last year that I think affect our confidence about it and how we feel about it.
Let's talk about.
Can I just touch, because as if you're not doing IPS and going for the people that do product sales rather than digital downloads. So if you previously perhaps you'd go to a house afterwards to do the selling appointment and bring samples with you. And now you're doing it online. It's kind of irrelevant actually, whether you're going to show them samples when you go and do a sales appointment, or whether you're bringing samples to a shoot to show them. What you can do about people touching the albums and things like that, is that,
That's a really good question, actually.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it. It's literally just come to my head.
Plan in advance. We've seen this come in a year.
Frames are pretty easy to clean up afterwards.
Yeah.
But an album is a different kettle of fish.
So I started an album quarantine system. It sounds much grander than it is. It involved a few different carrier bags, basically. But
but I suppose if you've got more than one album to show, maybe it's a case of getting an extra spare.
I've got 3 sizes. But I'm not doing IPS sessions like every 2 days. I don't think anyone in this genre is high volume. But then you never know when they're going to get scheduled together. So there was a time when I took one size to one person. I think the day after I took a different one, but I actually said to people, could you please use hand gel before we touch them? And I said it because this is part of my COVID safe policy. And sometimes you can use phrases like that, which give people confidence in your business. What it actually means is, don't touch my album, please.
Without washing hands.
I can't remember whether sometimes you can get these special gloves, or you just give these people special gloves. Look, those special album gloves that you can have. But
you can buy them in bulk. I actually had them somewhere, but then I gave them away. But those for art, they were just white cotton gloves. But
it would probably look very professional.
I
wonder what the uptick on sales would be if you presented your sample in these white, archival.
That's maybe something to try, but that's I know with leather albums you can wipe the leather gently, but I think it's a good idea to quarantine them. I actually have a few albums, so I might do that. I mean, what I've been doing anyway, and I know people are nervous about IPS, and I haven't been doing IPS for ages, and I still sell products. I'm not all inclusive. What I've been doing, I was bringing sometimes, if I could, albums to a shoot to show so people can see it. And then I would always sell through online galleries anyway. So if you feel like, just going to a shoot is enough for you, over exposing yourself to other people, then you can totally adjust your workflow and your working ways to sell more through online galleries. You can meet with them on Zoom. You don't have to. You can just have a gallery and have I think we talked about it before. I'm pretty sure somewhere.
I did a few on Zoom last year actually, and it was really nice. It was lovely. Everyone were, it was kind of, I don't know, it was quite an effective way of doing it actually, because I had I could work on my bigger screen rather than on my laptop or a tablet, and they were on their screen and selecting things, and so you could. The communication was really good. Sharing a screen and making adaptations while they were watching and talking and swapping things in and out, and it worked really, really nicely.
And it also means you don't have to spend an evening going to someone else's house.
Yeah. And but time of day is important. I did one in the evening, and I was trying to hold up and show someone the color of an album, and of course it was low orange light, and that was really difficult. So doing daytime Zoom IPS is probably the way to do it. One of the things
investing in one of those lights as well.
Oh yeah.
Well,
One of the things that I'm finding
is to actually pre-record videos. I know a friend of mine did it. So she
that's a good idea.
But with the camera looking down, she would just had a couple of albums where she showed them, flicked through them, took through the difference, and that sits on her website, like on the hidden page. And then she can show it to people. And then you can have a conversation on Zoom about particular choices. But then the color is filmed in good light.
That's a good idea.
I know some people, I mean, do this, that they design an album proof and then just show them, even if the client hasn't ordered it. And that's kind of almost set the mind of how it could look.
Yeah.
And then you could always send that link beforehand, and and then they can see, and then you come to that sort of meeting, so they're already aware. So that's another way.
Mm-hmm.
I think I changed my whole workflow to do with IPS just before we had to change everything like a year ago, and that's one of the things I'm struggling with. I don't feel I ever got that rhythm properly going, and I don't know now whether to carry on with Zoom IPS anyway because it's easier and it's quicker, or to risk going back twice. It feels like going back twice doesn't feel necessary, not like legally necessary, but it just feels the client wouldn't want that. Maybe they'd rather, if you gave them the choice, they'd rather do it over Zoom. The one thing I do is I take samples with me, and at the end of the shoot I'll let them have a look at things then, and just because you physically need them to see if you're selling something that's like a leather album cover. Perhaps you don't so much with frames, but with certain products like fine art prints, you kind of need to see a fine art print in real life, I think. It depends what you sell, so your flexibility over that side, the after shoot, is just as important as well at the moment.
I'm kind of, it's worked out quite well in a way for me, because I'd done IPS a while back and just found it massively time consuming. Switched to a different system. I've gone back to doing IPS now, but with the intention of going on to Zoom last year, like at the beginning of last year. And the fact that the pandemic has happened has fast forwarded everybody's usage of Zoom, so it's worked out really well. Because I think it's really acceptable now. Definitely you need to take products to the shoot so that people get that experience. But running the appointments online seems to work really well, and it's just accepted that people have meetings now, and Zoom has improved as well. The actual applications have improved, and like you said as well, at this particular moment in time, it feels like an unnecessary extra exposure, extra visit.
So do you actually, this is me just asking you guys out of curiosity, do you book in those Zoom calls right at the end, or you even let them know beforehand that is after this shoot we're going to have 3 days later, or maybe not 3 days because you still need to edit the photos, but like in about like after I've edited your photos now, 3 days later we're going to book in a meeting to show, or not even before even showing the photos that you're gonna.
I think one thing is, whenever you book any client, talk them through the whole process, so there's no surprises. They don't go, oh, actually I didn't know it was like this, so there's no surprises at all. I never book I probably should change this. I was gonna say I never book a IPS session until I've done the edit, but maybe it would speed me up a bit if I did. I don't know.
I know some people do. I know some people, like, as soon as the shoot is done, they schedule a viewing session, or the sales appointment for a certain date, and that kind of gives you that structure to work to. So it's going to be in 3 weeks on this date, so you better finish the images by then. And that's something to kind of, because I don't really do that, because a lot of my stuff, because I share so many images, I kind of prep them ahead of time with pictures and showing products. I don't do Zoom IPS, I just have the online gallery, but I might look into having meetings like that over Zoom as well. But I quite like the idea of scheduling. You have to be really organized to do that. Or have an assistant. I'd like to have an assistant.
I wonder if the market for like virtual assistants is booming as well. I bet it is. And some people outsource IPS to people, and there's possibly like a good market for that at the moment. We're talking entirely about the business model where you do a session fee and then sell afterwards. There might be some people watching do all inclusive. So if you do that, it's easy because you just send the pictures anyway. But if you are hoping to sell product as well, then you don't need an IPS session. That's probably going to be harder for you. So I would definitely suggest taking product to the session. Otherwise, there's a chance the client might never see it. I just had a quick question about, I mentioned doing headshots, but maybe not wanting to show the pictures if you don't normally do headshots. How would you go about advertising something like headshots if you don't want to show them? So I would just do that in the mail shot, where you say to people something like, I've got a limited number of shoots this year. Maybe you talk about your spacing things out a little bit more, there's limited availability. Might say something like, for the month of May, I'm going to be doing a limited number of headshots in this week. We've only got 7. Again, you talk honestly, but you do build demand by putting a bit of urgency in there. We're only going to be offering so many of these, but there's a headshot special. Don't use the word special because it just makes it sound cheap, but yeah, you can. I would market that through a mailing list, because most of our clients will have jobs and people are going self-employed more, and people need headshots, and people won't know you do it. I get asked all the time, oh, do you do this? By the way, I'm not sure you do. There's a whole page on my website about it. I also get asked if I can do a wedding, and there's nothing about weddings, so people don't read. You have to tell them.
Yeah, you have to tell them. Another way to connect with people, on LinkedIn, and maybe message privately and saying, did you know that I do? Or even just put a post on LinkedIn where people don't normally check, and saying, I also do headshots, I also do personal branding shoots. You can also put together a page on your website that's not on your menu, but it's like it just exists, and you can send that link with some examples if you have any to people. Secret page, yes.
Yeah. Well, whilst we're sort of getting to the end and talking about IPS and stuff like that, but Ange had a question about culling.
Oh yeah.
Taking lots of photos. I presume her question was that taking too many photos and then culling it, because we're sort of gone through that period of not practicing or
feeling precious about the pictures. I personally haven't found. I mean, I'm terrible with culling my personal work, but it's a completely different issue. But I think with clients,
that's a time thing as well, though, isn't it? Because it's always at the bottom of the pile. Your work.
I think
I don't mind culling myself. So I think I haven't found that I've changed in terms of. I suppose it all depends on, now that with the limitations of when you actually go into the shoot, of whether you can shoot like you do normally, and then getting and maybe one too many more shots. I don't know. It all depends on how you shoot, and so I don't feel like I over deliver too much. I've always been quite tight in my culling, so
I don't think that will particularly change for me, really.
I wonder if we'll shoot less. So we're talking about being 2 meters away, going in for a close shot and coming out again. I didn't have to physically go in and out then, but I wonder if we'll shoot fewer frames because we'll do the close shots more quickly.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
About. I think we don't know. I think
it's hard to tell.
In some ways, don't overthink it. We just go and do it and see what happens.
I think with culling, I think Alice, you talked about it maybe sometime on another Zoomcast.
Wrote a little thing.
Yes, about you kind of have to be quite disciplined about that, and there are tools that you can use generally to speed up the culling, and you kind of have to be quite ruthless. And kind of go really quickly. Some people recommend going from the back, so from the later shots in the opposite direction. Also waiting and not culling straight after the shoot, kind of to give you some of that distance.
Going with your gut reaction as well when you've got shots. It's like, and don't overthink. You always have a gut reaction.
Yeah, forcing yourself.
If you like one that seems a bit weird, or it's not quite what you meant it to be, but there's something about it you like, definitely hold on to it and just come back to it the next day. I feel I need to, because I'm quite into having quite a tight workflow, but I want to tighten it even more because my house is not as empty or as quiet as I'm used to it being. And if I'm now going to go back into a near normal volume of work, I'm actually not going to be as productive or have as much quiet time to do it. So trying to think about that as well, because it's not actually that normal yet. It's not just building flexibility and rearranging shoots, maybe having clusters of rearranged shoots together, maybe having time out if we get ill. We don't have this nice quiet house for 7 hours a day anymore. Nice when we do. There's another question about are there any jobs you turn down? So at the moment I wouldn't take a enormous family group inside. I wouldn't take a job in London at the moment. I'm an hour from London. I'm not getting on the tube till I've had the vaccine. Just personally, again, you work for yourself, you know.
I'm driving. It will always be a drive to place, definitely. Extended families, parties, those sort of things. But then I suppose it's different if you're a wedding photographer and you're going to be able to shoot. I think at the moment is it going to be 30 again? That's
not quite a while still,
isn't it? It could be. You have to have different mindset if you're doing that sort of thing. So it's really, again, it's a lot of this is personal risk.
Yeah, because you know your family, you know your health, you know what sort of support you have if you do get sick, but also you know do you need to earn the money, like how much do you need to earn the money? Like everyone is so different, and no one is to say what you should decide for you.
Yeah,
I'm going into London, but I'm not going on the tube. I park and then I walk. That's what I do.
I think it's almost easier because I've certainly had inquiries in the past where I've thought, oh God, I really don't want to do that. I haven't fancied it. But what can you say? You have to be really careful as a business, not to say, oh, sorry, I'm not doing that because blah, blah, blah. But we've got this amazing reason now. I'm sorry, I can't because it's COVID policy. It's, for
booked
I'm
up.
not shooting.
Or booked up, yeah.
Yeah, booked up. I think it's perfectly reasonable to say, like I've said to people over the last couple of months, I'm not shooting until after Easter, even though lots of people have advertised from the 29th of March. It's acceptable for us all to have our own sort of cautious reasons. So we've actually got a great get out of dodgy shoot card, which we can, not dodgy shoot, but just something that you don't really
It doesn't feel like that. I mean, I've turned down, just before Christmas, I turned down a couple of like businessy, not big shoots, but like personal branding headshot type shoots, because I just felt like if I book too many of them, I'm not going to have a great Christmas. So I've turned them down. It felt really good. I was like, no, fully booked now.
Especially when you're the sort of person, I think generally I'm like this anyway, but certainly running your own business, it's really hard to say no.
It's hard.
You never know what's next, do you? So I'm always like overbook myself, take on too much. So it's quite a good lesson actually to make yourself decide exactly what you do and don't want to do, and having that conviction.
Should we talk about people who are building their portfolios? And Alison's just made a comment, who isn't, but we can't go more than 10, so as in Ireland, we can't go more than 10 miles away, not sure when that will change. So that's obviously a huge challenge. The first thing that popped in my head there was mini sessions. Now, mini sessions is we kind of a dirty word sometimes in documentary, because we don't tend to feel that they fit with the genre. But in that sort of situation, if you're limited geographically where you can go, and if you are somebody who hasn't been able to earn in the last year, I would 100% run a mini session today, like 5 miles from me, maybe not show anyone the pictures, just like I said with the headshot idea.
Or we can make it as documentary style as possible. Maybe it's a mini session about getting ice cream in a local ice cream shop or something like that, where it doesn't mean that you're faking playing in the woods, or building one of those what are they called, teepees in the woods with the sticks.
Oh, dens,
building dens in the woods. You can sort of make it, often when we have a short documentary shoot anyway, we discuss with the clients and activities that they might do, so just they don't sit on the sofa and watch TV for the 3 hours that you're with them. You can sort of apply that for a shorter shoot and just decide this is the activity they are doing, or maybe it's a teddy bear picnic if the kids are into that.
And still you can use those in your portfolio, the good photos that you can still use them and also talk about them, share them and talk about them. Obviously, you know, be honest about what type of shoot it is, in terms of like, it's not like a half-day session. If it wasn't a half-day session and that it was a mini shoot, but it's a documentary style. So you can still use it up, big it up to talk about it in documentary way. And then once, you know, hopefully when you get those longer sessions, then you just replace those. But at the same time, if you're only just starting out or just building that portfolio shoot, finding the restrictions a bit limiting, or your comfortability. I always make up these words out of, you know, nowhere. Anyway, so yeah, that's if you can only do very short sessions and just stick to the very documentary approach and use those and portfolio, and then eventually you will replace them. So
Gina sent me a message to say, how do you find clients who are looking for more documentary style photos, not just the standard lifestyle photos? And this is a very general question, but the thing we always say is show what you want to shoot. So have the photos on your website that you want people to look at and go, oh, that's what I want, so that you can create your type of pictures for them. And this is really important when you're doing portfolio building. Don't take pictures you don't want to show. You completely can control what you're going for, and it will either work or it won't work, but you could have another one. You know, you go through that process of building your portfolio up through different shoots. So now is perhaps a good time to do that.
Yeah, that's the beauty of a portfolio shoot. You're literally answering to no one. You're just doing what you want to do. So as long as you've got a family that wants to help, then it's up to you. And again, it's down to everything where it's like, you know, it's all the explanation and the prep. Even when it's a portfolio shoot, it's like talking to them about what, why, and how it works. But even when you're in business, because of the GDPR and things like that, you sometimes need to do portfolio shoots anyway, because you can't always share what you've taken. So it's something when you're starting out. Like Antonina, you had a year when you couldn't share anything.
Yes. I was like, oh. So yeah, I booked a couple of portfolio shoots. Actually, we talk a lot about how, you know, who do you find, how do you go about finding people. The photographers make brilliant portfolio building shoot families. You can swap, or you can just photograph each other, going back to your, you know, friendship circle, and just being really. I don't like shouting about it. I don't like posting, oh, I'm giving away free shoots. That's just not productive when you're in business.
You end up attracting the wrong.
And you end up attracting the wrong crowd. But just
people sign up to your mailing list and things who aren't going to be people who want anything but a bargain. So it's definitely worth being more discreet and like pinpointing people and just asking. They can say, you know, the worst that can happen is they say no, not interested. I don't like having my photo taken. But they might be like, oh God, yeah, thanks, that'd be great. When you get a great portfolio shoot, so be really specific and researchy. You want to look out for people. Some random person in the park, and you look a bit weird.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to have to do some more portfolio shoots, because I already can see clients. Nope, no sharing. We're very private.
If anyone's got a last question before we go, just stick it in the group now. Otherwise, I think we're probably going to wrap up.
Yeah, we've rambled on for long enough. Hopefully some of that has been helpful. Sort of the intention was to talk through everything that we're thinking and feeling right now, in the hopes that might help others.
I'm still feeling a bit weird about it all. I was so like frustrated about not being able to work, but I think I'm not quite there yet. I'm not quite ready. I'm just still feel a bit shell-shocked from lockdown.
That changes though, because I felt like that taking the kids back to school 2 weeks ago, and now it's like, oh, okay, they're back to school now. And I'm like, that's just a new part of the routine, and it feels.
I quite enjoyed being in the slow lane and just doing things slowly and like creating stuff that's not necessarily what I usually do, and exploring other ways of creating photography. So it will be hard to let it go. So that's, you know, I'm working on ways of not letting go of that. There's been a question from Jennifer there. Have you seen that?
Oh, do you find that lots of families don't want their images shared online? it's increasingly common, and obviously with GDPR in the UK and in countries in the EU, sadly separating the two, but any country can adopt this regulation at any time. You have to get express permission, and the act of asking for express permission gives people more opportunity than they would otherwise have to say no. You can be very clever about you can be very thoughtful about how you ask.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I actually feel it's the right thing to do anyway, because I had a photo shoot ages ago, and the photographer put some pictures online. I'm obviously not averse to sharing pictures of my family because I do it anyway. But she put this picture up of me, and it was like this great big photo of my big chipmunk face, and I was like, take that down. I don't want people to see it. And I didn't say that, but I was like, oh, I'm not going to share that image. I'm not going to share that post because I'm really embarrassed about it, because I get really embarrassed about that sort of thing. So I think what I do is just, even if people have said no, don't share, because some people do automatically now. It's always worth asking about specific images. There's a really good image that you'd like to share on your portfolio on social media, competition or whatever. It's just go and ask specifically. I like this image.
What I tend to do now. What I tend to do now is, now, although my contract, I don't have any of the tick boxes on my contract for GDPR, but what I do is, after we wrap up and the images are ready and they've seen the images, they place their order, I email them and say, I'd love to share a couple of images. Are you okay with that? And they either say yes or no. And I totally respect whatever they say. I've just had a client this morning emailing me, sorry, we're very private. So no, it was an amazing shoot and I wanted to share it.
But you can kind of get a feel of, like, I have clients, I've got the parents of teachers, and there was something very, very specific about their comfort level with something to do with that. I can't even say it, but something to do with IT. And they wanted something posted, not over the internet. And that told me already that I'm going to ask the question, but I'm going to ask like really gently and expect them to say no. But then with other people, you obviously want to share as much as you can, but you don't have to share every shoot. Most of us have too many pictures on our websites anyway. Share the best ones and find a way of saying, this, by the way, this shot is one of my favorite I've taken for months, and I love it because of this. I'd really love to include this to showcase my work.
And it's a really nice thing for them to hear as well.
I mean, I photograph a lot of my clients, well, not this past year, but before, come from the Middle East, and I can't share them by default because I photograph women without their face coverings or without their head coverings, and they don't want it blasted all over the internet. So I've come to just really accept that and not really worry about it. And as Alice, as you said, I don't need to share every shoot. It's fine. People don't pay attention. Like, sometimes I share the same family over and over because I can, and no one knows it's the same family.
I've got two families I shoot every year, and their kids look really similar. And you can't have a portfolio where it's the same kid all the time, because I think it's your kid. So I have too many of one of my kids, and these two kids that look the same, and they don't look a million miles away from mine as well. So but also, if you have a particular client base with a high volume of people saying no, then adjust your pricing so that, going back to your availability over the year, you can earn your bottom line from the number of shoots you can do, whilst allowing yourself to do some free portfolio building shoots. So basically, factor in the fact that the people who say no are effectively subsidizing free portfolio shoots to people who are going to say yes. And when I say yes, if you're portfolio building, you must get a model release signed. So people who are just starting out, you don't need a contract for a portfolio shoot, but please get a model release signed. Under GDPR, they can still withdraw consent. But if you do that in a particular way, that won't happen, because then maybe then have to pay for the photos or something. I've never done that myself, but there are ways to just protect your business, because you're giving a lot away for free.
So so just to be clear, that for portfolio shoots, although yes, they can actually say that they don't want to, but really the whole point of it is, particularly if you're offering for free, is that you can share those images. I don't know whether that question was specifically just for clients, but I just wanted to emphasize about portfolio.
Right, I think we got to wrap up now. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and for those who are watching on replay. And there's more Zoomcasts coming up, so stay tuned for the next announcements.
And good luck, everybody.
Yes.
Getting back out there. It's challenging, but that's what we're good at.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.